Of all of the brothers, whose actions were most questionable throughout their lives? And just to be clear, obviously the sale of Yosef is tragic on so many levels, but it's hard to pin the blame on any one of the brothers because it was a group reaction. What was the worst thing that any one brother did as an individual throughout the stories of the Chumash? If we go through, Ruvain, the way the Medrash explains it at least, Ruvain acted in an inappropriate way towards his father, but he was standing up for his mother's honor. Doesn't seem to be a out-and-out wrong thing to do, though there's certainly room for criticism. Shimon and Levi killed out a town in retribution for what had been done to Dinah. Yaakov rebukes them, but they respond, Hachzona yaseh achosenu, will we make our sister like a harlot? And he doesn't respond to them. So just the simple reading of the verses, it really sounds like Shimon and Levi at least made a decent counterpoint. The one son that really did something individually that it's just hard to begin to wrap the mind around is the story of Yehuda, is what Yehuda did in his story with Tamar. I don't want to take the time now to go into the details. Please suffice it to say that there's a lot of discussion in the Medrash, but on a basic level, Yehuda acted in a sexually inappropriate way, and that's a very serious thing. We know, and by the way, was going to punish Tamar, unknowingly was going to punish Tamar for his own interactions with her. We know that at the end of Yaakov's life, Yaakov speaks harshly to some of his sons in terms of their actions and rebukes some of his sons for their actions. The Medrash tells us a remarkable thing. He was going in age order. Ruvain, Yaakov rebukes. Shimon and Levi, Yaakov rebukes. Rashi cites the Medrash that when it was time for Yehuda, Yehuda was already slinking to the back of the room because he didn't know what his father was going to say to him. His father doesn't rebuke him. His father says, Ata yoducha achecha, your brothers will recognize you. It's very difficult to understand. Why'd you stop the rebuke? In a sense, he deserves the rebuke more than anyone else. And the very clear answer, so many Mefarshim talk about it, and really, if just a person were to think about it, it's evident. Whatever mistakes Yehuda made in the Chumash, Yehuda owned up to those mistakes. When Yehuda realizes, when Tamar sends him the sign that he indeed was the man who had relations with her, he says, Tzadka mimeni, which could be understood either she's more pious than I, or she's right, it's from me. Either way, he's publicly recognizing that he erred. Even going to the story of Yosef, it was his idea to sell Yosef. The Medrash says that the brothers had diminished regard for him after they realized how bad of a decision it was and how much it ruined Yaakov's life. He's the one who's standing up at the end, right before Yosef reveals himself in last week's Parsha. He's the one who's standing up at the end to save Binyamin. He's he's owned up to his errors, he's learned from them, and he rises to the occasion. There's such an important lesson that comes from this, that Yaakov Avinu is teaching us. It's not about what mistakes we make in our lives. We all make mistakes. We all err. We all sin. It's about if we own up to those mistakes and if we grow from them. Ruvain, Shimon, and Levi's growth from their errors was not apparent. Yehuda's growth was. It's a very important life lesson for all of our interactions, and maybe most for our interactions with our children. Let's be mechanech our children that when we wrong them in some way, not that we come up with 25 reasons why we really didn't wrong them. Let's teach our children that it's okay and admirable to admit when we do something wrong. Have a wonderful Shabbos.